Of Coach Hoiberg. I'll start with, I'll change up. I'll go Chris Bassnett to start.
Hey, Coach. Wanted to ask you, what's allowed you guys to get off to such good starts in all three of your games? Is it something you do in practice? Is it a mentality you try to instill? I guess what's allowed you to start so well early on?
Yeah, it's something that we stress a lot, Chris. The importance of getting off to good starts, and we've been stressing that really since day one, going all the way back to our workouts when we were coming in small groups. Talked about how most likely, this is back a couple months ago, we were going to be playing in the same atmosphere as we had in practice with no fans. So we talked about being self-starters and coming out and getting off to fast starts in practice and then carrying that over into games. But we've been really proud of the way the guys have come out of the locker room all three games, even the game we lost against Nevada. I thought we had unbelievable defensive energy early in that game. We just could not convert those into points, which ultimately cost us. But if we can continue to come out with that same type of energy out of the gate, we're going to have a chance.
We'll go to Robin Washington. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Chris.
Is that something you do you do any, I guess, drills or anything like that in practice to instill that mentality, or is it mostly the guys, just like you said, being self-starters?
Yeah, we do some drills early just to try to get them talking, try to get them communicating. If they are slow, getting from drill to drill, we'll put them on the line and we'll run them. Just accountability to try to get them to do the things that are important with everything that we're stressing, and a lot of that is getting off to good starts. So it's a huge thing, especially when you play early games. We had 2 11 o'clock games and then the 1 o'clock game in the first three. And generally in those early starts, the team that gets off to the better start ultimately wins the game. And, it's huge. Those first 5 minutes are so important when you're trying to establish the tempo and get the game where you want it.
Robin Washington. Robin, your microphone. Robin.
Delano, Ben has been really everything you could have hoped for so far. Saw a stat where, he's one of only like 5 players with, X amount of stats across the board. Just with his all-around contributions, is that pretty much what you expected you'd get from him, when he finally became active this year?
Well, that's what we saw out of Delano in his sit-out year. He's such a versatile player, and you just see the energy that he plays with. He's the guy that gets us off to really good starts with his communication, with his voice. He does a great job talking. You can see it even before the game starts. He's out there trying to get the guys pumped up using his voice. Been really impressed with how he's stepped up as a leader on this group. I knew he would go out and play well just because, again, of the versatility, the size, the length. But what he's doing has been phenomenal, especially after sitting a full year and coming back out, not skipping a beat. His timing has been really good. Generally, it takes a little while when transfers sit out a year and then get back into playing. I've seen it with guys that I've coached at certainly at Iowa State. And it takes a while to get that going, and he really has done a phenomenal job of stepping in there, and it's a credit to his work. The kid does a phenomenal job getting himself in the gym. He really worked hard on his shot. That was one area he needed to improve, and then on his body, where I thought he made great strides in the year that he had off. But I've been really proud of Delano and all the things that he has done for our team, most notably the leadership.
Okay, we'll go to Sam McEwen.
Hey, Fred, I haven't been on this beat long, but Delano just strikes me as a person that very few people would ever dislike. Like he just has a personality that seems to bring people up. Have you experienced that in the time that you've had coaching him and watching him play?
Yeah, I saw it last year too, Sam. He's got an infectious personality, and we've got a group that has that. What is it? John Gordon's book, The Energy Bus. You talk about guys, being energy givers or energy takers or energy vampires, and Delano certainly is an energy giver with his ability, and he doesn't have a bad day. I mean, he comes in here if we have things that we're not doing right, he'll try to get everybody out of it. That's the thing that I've been most pleased with Delano is just really how he's taken over as a leader of this group. And guys respect him because they see how he works, they see how he talks, and they see what he's all about. He's a very unselfish player, and he's a fun guy to be around.
Is not every guy on a team is going to be like that, but how important is it to have 2 or 3, 4 guys like that on your team? And do you, when you're out recruiting, do you try to recruit for that particular element, that chemistry, that personality element?
Well, it certainly helps, and I think a lot of times it's an innate quality. You either have it or you don't. And when I looked at last year's group, the 2 guys that I knew would come in and talk every day were Delano Banton and Derek Walker. Those two guys, you'll see that out of Derek as well when he gets eligible here in the next, I guess, 11 games. He's got to sit, but yeah, when you have those guys that can talk and especially when times are tough, to help navigate through those tough times, that certainly helps.
Kevin Sids.
Fred, through the first 3 games, what have you learned about your team in terms of just player rotations? And are there some combinations that you've noticed are more effective than others?
Yeah, I thought that the starting group that we had the other afternoon against North Dakota State just put up huge numbers with plus minus, those lineup shifts that we have out there. Those guys are outstanding with that. So you can see it. They're developing a nice chemistry. We've had good production. Kobe Webster gave us a couple really good games out there. Ivan, still needs to finish better, but he's given us good minutes with his body. The other player off the bench, Shamil, has given us a couple really good games as well. Those really 8, I guess, that we're playing right now, especially in the 2 wins that we've had, everybody's given us nice contributions, and it's true team effort. That's it's fun when everybody that steps on the floor makes a contribution. It was great to see guys like Jace Pietkowski hit his first 3-pointer, and you saw how happy the bench was for Jace when he knocked down that shot. You see how they're pulling for Elijah Wood when he gets out there, for Brett Porter, for the guys that aren't getting a lot of minutes right now. So it is. We have a really good cohesive group that has great chemistry. And, again, if we keep that up, then we're going to have a chance most times we step on the floor.
Ken Pavelka.
I think you kind of just answered part of what I was going to ask you about, but just to follow up, you got this first week behind you in 3 games. Is there anything as you look at that body of work so far that that you've learned, or that maybe you were waiting to see, or any feelings about this team now that you've got some experience through 3 games? And then I wondered if you got to see any of the Big Ten teams this weekend, and what your thoughts were about what you saw.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing we need to improve, Ken, is rebounding. We did a poor job of making first contact, and North Dakota State's got good length across the board. Griesel's a heck of an offensive rebounder. Kid's a warrior out there, and really at all 4 of the 5 positions, they have good length, and they beat us to balls. I think they got most of the 50-50 balls in the first half. In the second half, we did a better job of getting those, but we need to rebound better if we're going to have a chance. And I guess that segues into the second part of your question. As far as the Big Ten, it's such a long, physical, rugged league. If we don't solve the rebounding problem, we're going to have some long nights. As far as the league, it's a monster again, Kent. It's, everybody has gotten off to great starts. There's been a couple really close games, but they figured it out and won close ones. And, those are always games that you're going to learn from. From a league standpoint, when we start playing in, I think we've got, 3-4 more non-conference games. It's going to be a battle every time we step on the floor. But, we've had some good opponents here early in the season that we can learn from and hopefully get some momentum in these last 4 heading into conference play.
Andrew Ward.
Hey, Fred, you mentioned the finishing with Ivan. Is that just kind of a mental thing right now with him, or is something he can work on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think some of it is mental, Andrew. There's no doubt about it with everything on the floor. And it's a confidence issue as well. And believe me, as a player, I went through it. There's some days that basket looks like an ocean. There's other days that thing looks like a little thimble. And, right now, Ivan needs to have a couple games where he just sees the ball go through the hoop. That helps. That solves a lot of problems when you have a good game where you finish. He's finished much better in practices this year. And unfortunately, that first game, he had about 4 or 5 that rolled in and out. On the finishes. You can see he's more explosive. He's had some really good dunks in traffic this year that he did not have a year ago. So I think it's a matter of time. But right now, I think he's rushing it, and we've talked about it, and he's getting himself off balance. The other thing, he's trying to force it through too many bodies. He got 6 offensive rebounds for us the other night, which was phenomenal. But you don't always have to go back up with that. When you have 3 or 4 guys surrounding you, that's a great time to kick it out for an open 3. So, we've seen it, we've watched it with him, and like I said, I do think he'll improve as the season goes on.
Okay, we got about time for 2 more. Jason Hahn.
South Dakota, the team you're going up against tomorrow, pretty excellent free throw shooting team, both in rate and conversion. Had some problems with that against Nevada. So how are you game planning against their free throw shooting?
Yeah, it's a mentality. We've been very aggressive on the defensive end, and I think you've seen that with the deflections and the turnover numbers. And that's been good for us, getting us out in the break and getting us some easy baskets. But you have to be under control as well, and that was the problem in the Nevada game. We put them in the bonus with, I think, 14 and a half minutes to go in the second half, and I think over half of their points in the second half are from the free throw line. So it is. It's an important concept for our team to defend without fouling. We've shown that when we stay solid, stay in a stance, don't gamble, that we have very good defensive possessions. And we talk a lot about it, and we will continue to stress it. But we have had very good activity. I think our hands have really been good and active, and that's given us some good opportunities offensively when we've been able to run out off of those turnovers.
Okay, last question for Coach Robin Washut. Can hear you, Robin.
Can you hear me?
Yep, now we can.
Hey, Robin, figure it out, man.
Yeah, this button, I'm pressing it and it's not working, and I'm about to smash my computer. Anyway, you mentioned the Big Ten games early on, how there's been some close ones that teams were able to pull out. You pair that with some of the confidence your team has been able to gather playing, their first few games and playing well. Do you kind of combine things like that? I know the league came into the year with a reputation of being this monster, with 11 teams going to the tournament. But the fact that you guys are playing well and you actually have tangible evidence to back that up, and you see the league, going through their own kind of rust early on, do you kind of make that a bit of a message that maybe this mountain that's going to start here in the next couple of weeks is not that insurmountable as maybe some people are making it out to be?
Yeah, I mean, we're as of right now, Robin, we're taking it one at a time. I know that's the oldest cliche in the books, but that's all we can do is focus on the next one. We'll figure out the conference when we get there, but it's like I said, it's going to be a battle. You see some of the teams that are always up there with Garza's everything is obviously advertised being the player of the year, scoring 36 and a half the other night. You see what Michigan State did in Notre Dame was an incredible game start to finish. Yeah, I mean, we'll worry about that when we get there, Robin. I mean, right now, the only thing in our minds is this game tomorrow night against South Dakota.
Okay. That concludes our
Thank
time
you,
with Coach Hoiberg. We'll have Delano Benton here shortly.